Hi folks, Dave the Honest Audiophile, and today we're going to take a look at the Obsidian IKKO OH10. I want to thank inToit Reviews for sending over the IKKO OH10. Do greatly appreciate it. inToit Reviews, you rock. If you haven't already, check out the links down below and subscribe to inToit's channel. Also, give him a thumbs up and also a thank you for sending over the Obsidian IKKO OH10. Okay, so the IKKO OH10 is a hybrid IEM. It is a 10mm dynamic driver and a balanced armature Knowles 33518. It has 18 ohms of impedance, 106 decibels of sensitivity, and a frequency response of 20 Hz to 40 kHz. It is a rather easy to drive IEM. I found that it drove very easily off of a dongle like the NextDrive Spectra X, and also off of both of my DAPs, the Walkman Sony NWA105 and also the Pioneer XDP30R. Found that both of those easily pushed the IKKO OH10. Alright, so inside the box, the IKKO OH10, slide off the outside box, you get this little interesting envelope with some paperwork on the inside, and this odd carrying pouch, which is made of leather, which is a nice touch, but it's not practical whatsoever. You get a cable, which we'll discuss here in a moment, and you also get some silicone tips. And the silicone tips work okay. I had no problems with them other than they just really didn't ever fit in my ear. I just didn't get a good seal with them. I found that they were just a little bit just either too big or too small. Couldn't get a happy medium on them. They would work, but since I have others just laying around the office waiting to be used, I tried out all kinds of third-party tips. More about that here in a moment. Alright, so the cable. Coming in at $200, I would have thought that IKKO would have included a better quality cable. This cable is not terrible, but it's not that great for the $200 price tag. Does have a metal inputs, a 2-pin connection, little red for the right side, which is a nice touch. Has very aggressive ear hooks, and it just feels thin. It just doesn't feel like quality. And I defaults to a 3.5mm right angle, which I'm fine with. Has this nice little carrying strap. It's not a bad cable. It's just, I don't know, it just didn't do it for me, and it always twisted up. It was just kind of an annoying cable that I kind of wish that IKKO had put a little bit more money into the quality, since the IEMs themselves are fantastic. Speaking of the IEMs, I did use the Drop Premium Upgrade cable, and there will be a link down below for this cable. It does cost $60, but I find that this cable was exceptional in its build and works great with the IKKO OH10. Connects via 2-pin. There is a little red for the connection, so you can match up the cables. I find that the build of the IKKO, I need my cleaning cloth. Where's my cleaning cloth? That the IKKO OH10 is just a beautiful IEM. These are like gems. Something that you would find at a jewelry store or one of those gem stores. And they're just gorgeous to look at. Whoop, got a little bit of cat hair on there. There we go. And they're just absolutely gorgeous to look at. Got a nice shine to them. They are hefty. These are quite weighty for an IEM. And inToit says that if somebody calls them heavy and that they are heavy in the ears, then that person's a wuss. I guess I'm a wuss because I've just found that these were very fatiguing in the ears and are not very pleasing. Now, comfort-wise, as far as the actual fit is not the problem. The problem is they are hefty in the ears, and after about 30 minutes for me, they're starting to pull on my ear hole and give me fatigue. And I just found that they fit in the ear properly. So they go in. I have no problems with how they fit, how the angle goes. They just disappear. Problem is, this part right here will pull down and just lift up my ear hole, and I will start getting fatigue. And so they just hurt my ears to have in for longer than about 30 minutes. Isolation of outside noises is decent. It's not that great. I would say it's probably about 50% of outside noises is blocked. I did have to use a alternate tip, and so I went with the wide bore dual flange tip from ADV. This came with my ADV GT3, and I find that they really work well holding the IKKO OH10 in my ears. I struggled with foams. Foams were a little too big and actually kind of made my ear hole hurt even more. And I found that the silicones from ADV just kind of worked. I tried to find a link, and I'll put it down below if I'm able to, but I've never been able to find a link for these tips specifically, so I do apologize for that. I guess you'll just have to buy an ADV GT3 to get these tips. Alright, so if you take the tip off, you can see that the build of the IKKO, it's a little bit smooth on the back side. I wish that it had a little bit of a wing on it just to kind of hold things in place a little bit better. It's a little bit chunky. It's not terrible. As I said, comfort-wise is okay. It does have a small nozzle, which makes it hard to hold a few tips on. But overall, I'm okay with the build. I'm okay with the comfort, except for the weight. InToit, you can call me a wuss. Alright, so the overall sound signature of the IKKO OH10 is fun and energetic. It is a very interesting sound signature, not one that I was quite expecting. The IKKO OH10 has big bass, and it's not bombastic, blow your mind, thump bass head bass. It is a more weighty, detailed, and controlled bass. It has nice sub-bass presence, which will at times become very rumbly and thumpy, but never gets out of control and sounds muddy and or any problem childs like that. It just has very good control, very good details, nice clarity, very good separation of instruments, and I really enjoy the bass on the IKKO OH10. Going into the mids have a nice tone to them, and they have good clarity. They have an airiness about them, but the upper mids are more accentuated than the lower mids, and the lower mids are actually more recessed than the upper mids. And to me, the mids are the biggest disappointment about the IKKO OH10. I find that they are too thin, too lean in the lower mids, and too full and too forward in the upper mids, and they just don't sound natural. They sound unbalanced and uncohesive. If you listen to mixed groups, the members of the band that are in the lower registered octaves will sound distant and less body than the upper registered vocalists, and it just doesn't sound even. If you listen to an instrument that goes from lower registers to upper registers and everything in between, like a piano, the lower half of the piano will sound thin, lack body to it. It just doesn't have that pounding of a piano, doesn't have the fullness of sound, and the uppers will be a little bit too much accentuated, and everything just seems to be a little too boosted. I'm really disappointed with the mids. I was hoping for more from the mids, and to me it's too much of a V shape in the mids. Upper mids has a little bit of a shout to it, a little bit of a borderline sibilance, and then you go into the treble, and the treble is decently controlled. It doesn't really go into fatigue mode. It has good energy, good sparkle to it, but at times it just sounds like it's trying a little too hard. It's just trying to be a little too energetic. It's like somebody had one too many cups of coffee and they're just a little too excited. And I like the IKKO OH10 for its tonality, but I don't love it. It's something that I can live with. It's something that I could enjoy, but it's not something that I could crave and have to listen to all the time. The IKKO OH10 to me misses, especially in the mids and in the treble. And then the soundstage is nice and wide, has really good width to it, and it has good separation, isolation of instruments, but that mid section does cause problems, and some instruments sound way more forward than other instruments, or some instruments sound off as far as being balanced and playing evenly. You really notice this in jazz music, orchestral music, acoustical music, where there is something with a big bass like a cello, and also something with like a guitars or banjos. They just don't sound even. And then there's the depth issue with the IKKO OH10. It's not the deepest soundstage. It has decent depth to it, but it's not the largest. So you would think that with the large soundstage, it would also have good depth. But to me, it's just kind of, everything's just a little bit there. You can't really look in and truly pick apart the soundstage. You can just kind of look and see that things are behind each other, but you can't really feel the space between each row of the soundstage. I like the IKKO OH10, but I don't love it. There are a few other IEMs I really enjoy over the IKKO OH10, and the first one is the iBasso IT01. Now the iBasso IT01 I reviewed a long time ago. I'll put a review down below, link down below. Don't cringe at the video, it is a very old video. But the iBasso IT01 compared to the IKKO OH10, the iBasso has a little bit more body in the lower mids region, and that adds to the fullness and just makes it sound more natural and more alive. And it just feels like the iBasso IT01 is more true to the actual tone and timbre of instruments and vocalists, versus the IKKO OH10 lacks that body, and to me just lacks that realism. And then another IEM, sorry, my cat thinks it's breakfast time, we'll feed him here in a moment, is the Drop Universal Plus, or Plus Universal. The Drop Plus Universal also has more of a rise in the lower mids region, and that gives a body to it, a more fullness to it, and just sounds more natural. This does a really nice soundstage and has better depth and layering, in my opinion, than the IKKO does. It has not quite as wide of a soundstage, but it does a good job as far as depth and layering than the IKKO. The Edomotic ER2XR. The XR has the best tone and timbre that I've heard on an IEM. It just has the realism and the accuracy of tone and timbre of instruments and of vocals. Everything just sounds realistic and right there. Now it is an intimate soundstage, and it is a very close in sound, but the details and the tone and timbre are spot on, in my opinion. And then also the Edomotic ER2 SE. The SE is a little bit leaner in the bass, but still has very good details and clarity. But the mids have a little bit more airiness, a little bit more energy, and a little bit more sparkle to them. They're not quite as forward and full as they are on the XR. And the treble, excuse me, the treble is a little bit more extended, and the soundstage is a little bit wider on the SE, and the SE is a little bit more energetic. So overall, the IKKO OH10. I really like the IKKO OH10. I enjoy it, and it's a very pleasing and fun sound, but it's not natural and it's not realistic, and in my opinion it just misses the mark that I'm looking for a $200 IEM. I enjoy it, if it's something that you're looking for, I totally understand. And if you're looking for that fun and engaging, sparkly energy, airy, breathy sound with a big stage, totally understand why you would go for the IKKO OH10. But for me personally, I'm going to go for the iBosso IT01 or the Drop Plus Universal. This has been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. A big thank you to inToit Reviews for sending over the IKKO OH10 for a review. Do greatly appreciate inToit Reviews, you rock. Don't forget to check out the link down below for a channel link to inToit Reviews. Give him a subscription, tell him I sent you over there, and also give him a thank you for sending over the IKKO OH10. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.